I'm with
Jeff Gomez. I'm the CEO of Starlight Runner Entertainment.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jeff.
Well, I've been in the comic book and media industry since the 1980s. I'm best known in the 1990s for working with Valiant Comics and helping to develop properties like Turok Dinosaur Hunter for video games, and I worked on Magic the Gathering. I helped to create the universe of Magic the Gathering, and after that I founded my own company, Starlight Runner, and we've worked with some huge companies, Mattel, Hasbro, the Walt Disney Company, Scholastic, Comcast, and we create worlds. In this day and age, you can now create a storyline that can start in one medium and make a jump from medium to medium, and that's tremendous fun. So our Hot Wheels storyline started in comic books for Mattel, and then made the jump to computer animated series, which aired on Cartoon Network, and then spun off a series of feature films for Mattel and Hot Wheels, and that's all developed by Starlight Runner Entertainment.
So what made you decide to go and make your own company? If you were with Marvel, you were with Valiant, what was the deciding factor to say, I'm going to go out and do it myself?
Well, the bottom line was that I had a couple of really big successes with Acclaim Entertainment and Acclaim Comics, and I wanted to be able to benefit a little bit more from my successes, and in order to do that I had to have my own company.
So how did the Magic the Gathering come into play? I mean, it started out as just a card game. Mm-hmm. How did that grow into
Sure. I was a... Okay, I'm sorry. I was a gamer in the late 1980s. I had a magazine called Gateways Magazine about role-playing games, adventure games, Dungeons and Dragons, things like that. And I knew the people who created Magic the Gathering. Now, they created it at the time that I was at Valiant Comics, and I convinced the editor-in-chief and the publisher of Valiant Comics to let me go and get the Magic the Gathering license so that we could do comic books and video games based on Magic the Gathering. They let me go and do that. We spoke with Wizards of the Coast, and they were amenable to it, particularly because I understood gaming, and we then developed Corindor, which was a land that they placed in the world of Dominaria, the universe of Magic the Gathering, and allowed me to tie in the origins of many of the characters on the backs of the cards to this new land. And it was a tremendously fulfilling experience. I got to write lots of comic books. I edited myself, which no one had done at the time since Marv Wolfman on Tomb of Dracula, and it was just tons of fun.
You mentioned that your newest property is Hot Wheels that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that Hot Wheels is one of the more recent properties, and that was a situation where Mattel was trying to celebrate the 35th anniversary of Hot Wheels die-cast metal cars, and we had to come up with a storyline that featured as many of the cars as possible, but for the first time attached fictional characters and a fictional world to the universe of Hot Wheels. We did that in a storyline that I designed to roll out across multiple media platforms simultaneously. You could watch the beginning of the storyline in the comics. Then the comics would crisscross continuity-wise with the feature film, and then the feature film would actually pick up the story and finish it. And it was awesome. It was wonderful working with them.
Now, while you just mentioned getting everything from crisscrossing from one medium to the next, which do you find is the easiest medium to get the product out there?
That's easy. Publishing. Comic books, graphic novels, and prose fiction are often the easiest way to launch a new intellectual property. Even publishing on the internet, if done well, can start to attract a strong fan base, strong enough to create a little bit of buzz, and then other people start to become interested. In our case, agents from Los Angeles, people at United Talent Agency were interested in what we were doing, and then it helps to launch the property into the more expensive media, things like video games and feature films.
So now you see the internet as just a stepping stone for bigger and greater things. How else would you incorporate the internet in your projects?
The internet now is indispensable. The quality of social networking is becoming so strong and so powerful that I don't think it's possible to launch a great new world, a new cross-media story without involving a very strong fan base from the very beginning. So everything that Starlight Runner creates is interrelated with fans and helps to validate and celebrate the participation of the audience. And that makes everyone kind of a celebrity. That gives everyone a feeling of ownership over the intellectual property. And that's what a lot of the major entertainment companies and a lot of the Fortune 500 companies are looking for these days. Companies like Anheuser-Busch, companies like Nabisco and Kellogg's, they're all developing intellectual properties that are like universes of activity that will involve fan participation.
Now, what is your dream project? What thing is out there that you want to get your hands on to make into a new world?
Well, I'm getting a taste of that dream right now because the Walt Disney Company recently optioned my original superhero property, Team Go Riser. Go Riser is based on my love of live-action Japanese superhero television shows like Kikaider and Kamen Rider. From the 70s, and I've updated the concept, and it takes place in Flushing, Queens, and it's about a young boy who gradually realizes that he is a super powerful android, and Disney loves it, and we're going to launch through Disney Adventures this fall, and then it's going to hopefully jump across other media too. So that's a taste of the dream that I really have been fighting for all my life, which is to tell brand new, original stories with my concepts. But coming after that is even bigger. We have a property called Urbana, which is now in development with a number of fantastic talent, both in front and behind the camera. It's being developed as a feature and as a television series. And it's just tremendous because that's a situation that's pure me. It's Jeff Gomez. It's an urban setting. I don't want to go for my fantasy to England anymore. I've had it with the Harry Potter and the C.S. Lewis and the Tolkien. It's wonderful, but how about the city, man? You know, Latinos, blacks getting mixed up with fantastic creatures and things like that in a place that could be right around the corner from you, from where you live. That's the true dream. That's what's next for me.
You mentioned minorities. How important is minorities to incorporate that in the world you create?
Well, if the world is contemporary, if the world is set in our world, then it's absolutely essential for it to reflect what it is personally that I see, which is a wonderful mixture of people, cultures, backgrounds, races, belief systems. It all needs to be in there because everything that Starlight Runner works on is all about getting over yourself, getting past the past, and being able to communicate and resolve conflicts between different points of view.
As a creator, I know that it's very difficult to make a whole world. A lot of young guys just make a character and they just think it's incredibly easy to make a whole world, a whole universe. What advice would you give them?
It is not easy to create entire universes. Yes, it might seem so, but there's a lot of advice that I could give. In fact, I have a seminar called Creating Blockbuster Worlds, and I go all over the country, both to schools, colleges, video game development companies, and even corporations. Some of the larger corporations have asked me and give them advice about how to create a persistent universe or elaborate cross-media world. And it all really boils down to one thing. Have something to hang it on. Have something very important to say. Have a message and then have a visionary behind the message through which the message can be filtered so that it's very specific, so that it's very resonant with the audience, so that it feels like it's something that's coming out of today.